So yeah, I just want to like sum up a little bit because we've been like giving a lot of tips, and
Yeah, I
I
love
think
it.
we just need to like summarize what we have so far. So basically, grammar first, please get it to the automatic level, so that you are comfortable with like constructing, making up basic phrases, and just get those basic things to the point where it's automatic. Don't read classical literature. Read very, very easy books, preferably something you already know. Stuff for children, great.
Yeah.
Cartoons, all those like books for like 5 year olds, amazing. And blogs is another great tip. Yeah.
I love those tips. I love it. What about a more formal sense of learning? You took classes. Can you speak on that? Like, what kind of classes did you take?
I took like most basic online school classes, like nothing special. It's like it's one at one of these language schools out there. So yeah, they were just like basic grammar, vocabulary, communication, reading classes. So yeah, each class was focused on either four of those.
Hmm.
And yeah, sometimes you'll get like a long text to read and you analyze it. Sometimes it's just like skills, you practice like how to order something at a restaurant and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So yeah, it was very basic. I
Worth it?
guess absolutely, if you're
Okay.
consistent.
Oh, if you're
um
consistent. Okay.
yeah, so yeah, I would say like consistency. Like if you ask me like what my one tip would be, one ultimate tip, it
Yeah.
would be like be consistent. It's not enough to do it twice a week for an hour. It's not
Okay.
enough to do it 3 times a week. No, it has to be every day. Even if you like, you don't have to spend, like, you're not a maniac like me. Like, I'm like a psycho, so like don't take me as an example. But an hour every day is extreme. So when people say they don't have time to learn languages, I don't really believe it, because there is a lot of opportunities that you just don't take on a daily basis. So for example, sometimes I like, you don't have to spend 3 hours a day in class actively learning. You can get a lot of like passive learning strategies in. For example, as you cook, you can put on a podcast or listen to a YouTube video, which what I do usually. Or like when you're in line waiting for a coffee, just open up the app and learn a couple of words. Or I don't know, watch a show. Like I like watch a show in a different language. Just for example, like when I was learning French, I used to watch Friends in French.
Mm.
Because I already know what they are talking about in English, it was so much easier for me to understand. But at the same time, I wasn't wasting my time. I was learning a language. So yeah, that way you can get at least an hour of passive learning a day, and you won't even notice. So if you ask me what one ultimate tip for learning a language is be consistent. Uh, 2 3 times a week is not enough. It has to be every day, at least 5 10 minutes, but it has to be every day, and that way you will progress really fast.
I think it's all about immersion, right? You can't immerse yourselves if you're
Yeah.
studying 1 hour twice a week. That's not immersive.
Yeah.
You're gonna
No.
forget that easily,
No.
right? And you mentioned it like on episode 14 when you came on. It's double dipping. So, for example, if you are cleaning dishes, right? What are you doing? You're not doing anything. You're just cleaning. You could be
Yeah.
listening to a podcast. You could put on a TV French show, and you're immersing yourself. You're sending those signals to your brain that this is the French language. This is how the sounds, whatever sound
Yeah.
like, right? And just
Absolutely.
to give you a personal story of how I learned French, it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't very active because, uh, first of all, pure laziness. Like I didn't really want to spend one
Yeah.
hour learning grammar because I would say time management, but no, laziness, first of
Yeah.
all, right? There's no such thing as having no time as
You
in,
know, there is like, as a topic for another podcast, but there is
yeah,
no such thing as laziness.
I love that. Wait, hold on. I'm saying I was lazy. But yeah,
So there is
anyway,
no such thing. There is
yeah, there's no
deeper
such thing.
reasons behind that. Yeah.
Right. Oh, I like that. Is it more
Mhm.
scientific?
Yes.
Oh, I love this. Okay, I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, when I first started my French journey, this was officially January 2020, and all I did was not Grammarly, Duolingo on the bus to work and
Yeah.
from, right? And that's an hour and a half a day on Duolingo,
Oh,
and
that's not bad at all.
it's not bad. Obviously, there's some times when I'm, walking up the stairs or waiting for the bus and I can't do it. But usually an hour and a half on Duolingo
Okay.
every day. not necessarily Duolingo, sorry, Duolingo or podcast or
Mm-hmm.
listening. And so yeah, I did that for a year, listening,
It's amazing.
podcast, Duolingo, and I can't really write French, but if
Mm-hmm.
people are talking, I could pick up the words and I could,
Mm-hmm.
understand a very basic conversation. And so that's one every single day for a year.
Yeah.
And it's those small little things. I didn't spend hours on end. I just did whatever I can throughout the day. So if I'm working out, I usually start my workout with cardio, where I don't really have
Mm-hmm.
to think. So I'm on the stationary bike, I'll put on a podcast or I'll put on a YouTube French video.
Yeah.
And I did that
Yeah,
every single day.
those are all great tips. Yeah, and like it's relatively low effort from your end,
Low effort. That's
and
what I wanted.
it still gets you the results because you are consistent with it. So yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about. So yeah.
Yeah, perfect. And so, how can I improve that, right? How can I improve my process? So right now I'm just maybe doing one Duolingo lesson a day. I'm listening to maybe 15 minutes of a French podcast. What else should I do to improve?
Um, so I think it might be time to like up your game a little bit and
All
take
right.
actual lessons
Okay.
because like Duolingo and listening will only get you this far, right? At some point you need like motivation from the outside because
Mhm.
most people don't have it. Like for me, as I was doing my courses, I was like, I'm paying money for this, and you pay in advance too. So it was like, I already paid for this. I need a return on my investment, right?
Yep.
So it was a great motivation for me. So usually, like, yeah, financial stuff unfortunately works the best, and what kept me going for a year. So yeah, I would say you might need to take some actual classes now because, like, if you have the motivation to sit down, like, it's a thing. Okay,
Let's go.
let me start from the beginning. There is active learning and there is passive learning. Active
Mhm.
learning is a very energy consuming process and it's hard. uh, by active learning I mean the time when you actually
Yep.
in the state of flow, you are deeply immersed into the topic and you are just learning, no distractions. You are like, it's pure like brain work, very hard process. So without that you cannot go to cannot go far. You need to introduce that into your system. So far you it's like for you it's been like more of a background learning, that's what I
Yep.
would call it. So it will get you like to the very basic level which you already have, but if you want to see a real progress, you need to introduce this active learning into your system. If you're able to, if you have the willpower, if you have like emotional resources or like whatever to do it by yourself without a teacher, like great for you. You can do it by yourself, just maybe practice grammar on your own or like write essays. But that's the thing is, like, it's always better to have someone, like, you say you can barely write in French, you need
Yep.
someone to correct your mistakes. You need someone to, like, because you cannot always correct yourself, especially when you haven't had enough practice yet. So yeah, I would say get those active learning in, and like maybe hire a tutor or something, find a teacher online, because you need that now to make this next step.
Yeah, I think I've plateaued. So amazing tips. Thank you. That was awesome. So yeah, we talked about all things language learning. We talked about how there's active and passive, and if you really want to excel your language learning process, you really got to implement both, right? Active learning via studying, not too much every day, whatever you can afford, and passive learning. If you're on the bus, listen to a podcast. I think that's going to help a lot. Any other tips you can provide to someone learning that we haven't mentioned?
Mm, okay, so let's just say consistency,
Yep.
passive learning whenever you can. When you
Mhm.
get to the basic level, start actively learning. If you have an opportunity, so it's like a lot of people have this problem, they have this block. Like that's what I have with Spanish. For example, I understand most of the stuff that people say, but when it comes to talking, I'd rather like respond in English, because I have this like internal block that I'm gonna sound stupid, I'm gonna like make a lot of mistakes,
Oh
whatever.
yeah, that's me.
So yeah, so you get that, absolutely, yeah. I'm gonna, like, people are gonna judge me. even though this is absolutely not true. So if that's what you're
Yeah.
scared of, please don't be. Because imagine imagine a person learning your language, and they speak to you, they make mistakes, but you can understand them, and they are able to make conversations. Yes, they are not perfect, but they're speaking, they are understood, and they understand what you tell them. Would you judge them for making a mistake? Of course not. You'll be like,
Oh,
man, you're doing a great job. Good for you. Like, that's amazing. That's very
yeah, that's what
impressive.
I think.
So that's what other people would think of you. So you cannot be shy. You should not be shy, and you should not be afraid, because like honestly, like a thing that I saw an interesting thing on TikTok the other day. It was a girl who was talking about learning languages, and she was saying, if you judged a person, if you judge your colleague for making mistakes in English at work, you should consider that this person was smart enough to actually do the same job as you do in a different language that is not his native language. And they were brave enough to move to another country and speak the
That's so
language
good.
that was not their native language. So that's, if you make mistakes, that's fine. It's just, honestly, it's just, people are going to just respect you more. Nobody's going to judge you.
That's amazing. That's what I wanted to hear. So fun, a little fun story before we move on.
Yeah.
I went to Paris, 2 years ago, 2018, and
Oh, I
that's
didn't know
oh
that.
yeah, I went. I went to Europe. Well, I
Cool.
went to Amsterdam and Paris and all
Cool.
that. Loved it. I love Europe. So
Yeah.
Dennis, myself, and then his girlfriend Donna, we ate at this Italian French restaurant,
Hmm.
and we were getting the bill. And they're like, "Hey, Jamie, you're learning French, or you're kind of learning French. Ask for the bill." I knew how to ask. It's l'audition, right? S'il vous plaît.
Hmm.
But I was like, no, what if I say it wrong? What if I
Yeah.
mess up? What are they gonna think about me? So the waiter comes and I say in the most English accent, the bill, please.
Yeah, I get that.
Right? And I'm like, it's so simple. And
Yeah.
yeah, thinking back, I had that wall I couldn't really get over.
Yeah.
So the amazing tip, I love it. Which leads us actually, we talked about so much, our last section of the podcast.